Maverick 100.9, Aggieland's country alternative. It's Corliss, and after a long time apart, we are joined by Aggieland artist Savannah Rae. Hey, girl.
Hi.
It has been, do we even know when the last time we talked was?
It's probably been close to going on 2 years or something like that. Like at least I think.
That is crazy, crazy. It
I
doesn't
know.
seem like it though. Like I follow you, I always know what you're up to. Like,
Yeah, it really doesn't seem like it. I feel like it hasn't been maybe more than a year, but looking back, it's probably been like 2 or 3 years, which is just crazy to me. Like time has flown by so fast.
it really does. But I mean, as it goes in this business, I know that's kind of cliche to say, but it's very true.
Yep. It's kind of crazy lately, but I'm blessed to be able to be, on the road doing the thing or trying to at least. So I'm glad time is, passing by.
Yeah. Well, then it is about time for a new single. And the one that you have sent to us is Dust Settles. Tell me a little bit about Dust Settles.
Sure. So Dust Settles is a song that I wrote actually 100% myself in about 45 minutes. It kind of just fell together because I was like, you know what? I just want something really rocking, kind of like some rockin' country, a little bit of like old school Miranda Lambert, like some Gretchen Wilson mixed in with, of course, my Texas country roots, like the
Yeah.
co-wetzel kind of sound and all that fun stuff. So I was like, you know what? Let's just write something. Let's just see what falls out. And like I said, this one fell out in about 45 minutes. And after that, I was like, huh. I kind of like this. It's like, all right. And I showed it to my producer and a few other people on my team, and they're like, okay, like let's go for it. I think this should be your next single. I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's get in the studio. And it took a little bit to get fully the whole vision of what we wanted. But I just really love how it turned out. It's probably my favorite release to date.
That is awesome. Isn't it hilarious how I bet if you were to go into your writing notebook and look around, there is stuff in there that you've been writing and working on and pouring your whole heart and soul into for years. And then you like trip and fall and write a song the other day. Like it's so funny how that can work both ways.
Oh yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, like you said, I will go into my notebook and my little iPhone notes over here and just kind of scroll and there will be stuff so old and I'm like, huh, that's a kind of fun idea, maybe I'll toy with that sometime and I'll work on it here and there and it'll be a year later. I'm like, huh, maybe we can do something with that. I'm not sure. And then the other songs, are just 45-minute hour written songs and like I said, I wrote this one by myself, so it's just kind of just fell out into my lap. I was like, okay, well, I guess this is fine. Let's go with it.
I
It's
love
it's so
it.
weird how songs work like that, and inspiration always strikes at the randomest of times. It'll be like 3 a.m. and I'll just be so close to falling asleep, and then all of a sudden something will pop into my brain. I'm like, if I do not write that down right now, if I don't voice memo that right now, it's gone. And so
Yes.
it is what it is sometimes.
Well, speaking of inspiration, first off, I always say we need more female co-Wetzels, like 100%. And
Right.
but where like you said that was something that you had to do. Why?
I just the way that I grew up, kind of is always pointed to the country rock side of things.
Yeah.
Because I grew up going to concerts at a very, very young age. I kind of credit my parents for that. They took me to rock shows when I was 10 years old, 11 years old. Like that's all we would do every single weekend. We would go somewhere in the United States and go to a 3 day long rock festival. And it wasn't until I was around 11 years old that I saw Evanescence for the first time. And I was just enamored with Amy Lee. You know her, she's
Got
incredible.
to. She was my hero.
I mean, that voice is just so good. And so I turned to my mom, I remember at a specific show in San Antonio, and I was like, I want to be like her or just do music like her, just something like that is just so cool. And so thankfully, my parents took me really seriously when I said that and enrolled me into vocal lessons and guitar lessons. And I had like my first full band show when I was 12 years old, and after that it just kind of stuck. And ever since then, I've always wanted to do country music, but I was like, huh, there's this whole like side of myself and this whole like side of music that I listen to so much, and that's just rock. And I've loved that, everything from like 80s hair metal to new metal, you name it.
Yeah.
I'm a big huge rock fan. I was like, how about we kind of really dig deep on that, as far as my new music coming out. Because like you said, there's not a whole lot of kind of girls doing the whole rock thing.
No,
And I'm
and
like,
I
I,
don't
I
know
love
why.
it.
Don't we
Yeah.
do it better? Like, we know how to rock harder than anybody. Like, I'm just saying. And it's so funny that you and I have that in common as well. But it sounds like with Dust Settles, you almost went backwards. You went and refound yourself
Mhm.
and what you
Yeah.
love. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. And it took me, I don't know why it took me so long to kind of like figure that out, but I was so young when I started music. I was 12 years old when I started trying to do music like professionally. Like I was on my first tour when I was 15, 16. So
yeah,
I was so young when I started it, but all I knew was just I loved music and it didn't really, I didn't really care to pick, a certain genre or what I wanted my sound to sound like until I got much older. I was like, okay, Savannah, we need to, settle down. What do we want to do? And then as I kind of grow as an artist, I mean, I was growing as a person too. So just figuring out what I wanted, my music to sound like, what I even wanted to say as an artist, that has been probably the longest journey out of all of it. And it's been a great one. Don't get me wrong, but it has been a long one. But I'm finally kind of honing in, on the sound that I want, which I'm just really excited for.
I am too. I'm excited for the entirety of the journey, but most of all, I'm excited to let Aggieland finally have Savannah Rae back and debut Dust Settles. So you got it now on Maverick 100.9. Due to copyright, Brian Broadcasting is not licensed to air this single for you in podcast form, but you can now find it anywhere that you stream and download music. And today's interview continues now. That was Aggieland artist Savannah Rae. Dust Settles on Maverick 100.9. It's Corliss back with Savannah, and we've been playing catch up. You have really been on a journey. Like we were just talking about how you miss Aggieland most days. Of course, you don't live here anymore. You're out in Tennessee. You're changing your sound. Tell me a little bit more about some of those changes, or more about what do you want to come from them?
Right. So like I said, kind of mentioned before, with this new sound and direction that we're going, a little bit of that old school Miranda Lambert, a little of the Gretchen Wilson, still keeping some of those country roots, but kind of going in a more rock direction. I mentioned before Coetzel, and then I really love lately what Hardy's doing. I really love lately what Jelly Roll is doing. Those kind of people, that are really kind of bridging that gap between rock and country. I listen to Jelly Roll and I listen to his stuff play on the highway, and then I listen to his stuff play on Octane. It's really interesting how they can both, kind of go in such different directions, but it makes sense. And I'm like, that is just the coolest thing. And so I, of course, want to try to do a female version of that. And then I also do a little bit of Spanglish as well on the side, which is quite interesting because that's a lot of my heritage. That's where I come from.
Yes.
I'm from South Texas, and so that's something that I think Nashville is kind of missing right now.
Yeah.
I love it out here, but I'm like, there's no girls really doing like a whole lot of like country rock stuff, number one. And then number two, there's not a lot of Spanglish going on. And, in Texas country music, we have a lot of that red dirt sound. We have a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
that rock and sound. And I'm like, you know what? This needs to be brought more to Nashville. And so that's just pretty much what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, there's also a lot of Texican here. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the diversity is definitely a struggle in that area. But so my husband and I just saw Hardy last month.
Oh,
And
really?
like for everybody who has wanted to go to one of his shows, if you do not like rock, do not go to that show. It is a metal show. And
Oh
this
my
is
gosh,
from
that's
a
so
girl
cool.
who goes to metal shows. Like I go to Rob Zombie, I go to Pantera, I go to these shows. A Hardy show is a metal show. I had to listen because it was a music festival. I had to listen to all the fuddy duddies just throw a freaking fit. Like, what was that? Who was that? I mean, go
Yeah.
cry yourself to sleep. I'm out here actually enjoying myself.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've never been to a Hardy show yet. I have not have the privilege of going to
Right?
one. But yeah,
You
that's
need to
definitely
do
kind of
it.
yeah, that's on my goal list. I want to see him so badly because I just think that that's the coolest thing how he's like so effortlessly melded his version of country with his version of rock and just made his own sound. And I think that that's just the coolest thing as an artist, because as soon as a Hardy song comes on, you know that it's a Hardy song.
Right. Well, and even your little transition here kind of mirrors that, looking at leaving Texas and going to Nashville is sometimes frowned upon for whatever
Sure.
reason. But you're not changing. You are still a Texas girl. And
Mhm.
you lived in so many places in Texas. You lived here in Aggieland. You lived in South Texas.
Mhm.
You are bringing all these cultures and sticking to them, kind of like someone like Hardy has done. There is no rule book. Just make the music that you think is great music and do it everywhere. Put it on a wider scale. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, you take again, I'm just gonna keep using these examples because they're so like prevalent in my mind, but you
Right.
take like the Jelly Rolls and the Hardys of the world, and there'll be the purists on either side of the community, like the rock community. Oh, that's not rock music, or the country
Yes.
community. That's not country music. And I'm like, guys, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If it's good music, if it's good songs,
Yeah.
if you like that, it doesn't matter, they're doing what they're doing. They're putting out the music that they want to put out. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing. And that's, what I want to do because I do bring a kind of a different sound, at least from the Texas area to Nashville. And so, that's what I'm kind of going for. Like you said, I'm kind of just staying true to my roots here. And I'm like, well, this is what I like. And hopefully the people over here like it. And so far, so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in radio 15 years and I got into radio when the pop country boom happened, which was wonderful for my career and it was actually wonderful for country radio. It brought listeners in that we had never
Right.
seen in the format on the radio
Mhm.
end. And but then of course the arguments started coming in that's not this or that.
Mhm.
That is not up for you to decide. That is
Right.
not up for, like, if you don't like it, you change it. If you do like it, listen and be happy. I tell people
Yeah.
all the time, I've seen Florida Georgia Line 4 times and I've had a great time every single time I've seen them. I also have
Oh,
a great
yeah.
time anytime I go to a Texas country show or a
Hmm.
Katy Perry show or
Hmm.
Celine Dion, dude. Like, just let people
Right.
love what they love, man.
Exactly. No, I love that. Yeah, I mean, shoot, you put on Florida Georgia Line, I will turn it up all the way and I know every single word.
Exactly. Yes,
Like,
exactly. Okay, there's my rant. I let it out. I gotta get that off my chest, man. I get mad at people. I'm like, just let me love what I love.
exactly. I mean, music is music, and if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, well, I'm glad we have Spotify. I'm
Right.
glad you
That's
can
what
go
it's
play whatever
there
you want to
for.
play.
That's
Yeah.
literally what it's there for. So, oh, Savannah, this has been a great catch up. I am just over the moon excited for you. I adopted you as an Aggieland artist years ago now, and I'm still watching you rise and grow, and I'm so proud. And my last question is, what's next? What's going on with After Dust Settles? New album, new out to stream. What you got going?
Yeah, so I'm constantly working right now. I have a ton of writing sessions lately, and then a ton more coming up. And getting into the studio, trying to record as much as I possibly can. Because that's pretty much the basis of all I'm doing is just new music, new music, new music. Really kind of honing in on that sound, and like I said, what I want to say as an artist, what I want it to sound like. And it's a really fun experience to, just kind of get right into it, get in the nitty gritty of it, and say, all right, like let's do this thing. So I'm really thinking a few more singles next, probably an EP after that, just depending on what we write. But I'm really liking what we're coming up with, and I'm just excited for everybody to hear it.
Oh, I am too. And tour wise, you've kind of been more on a national scale lately. Are we getting you back in Texas this year?
We're trying. Like I said before, this year's been a little bit crazy. It's just kind of been all over the place. We've been from everywhere from Wyoming to Florida to South Carolina, and then we're supposed to be going to New Mexico pretty soon. So hopefully, we can get back to Texas because I do miss my home. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
miss it a lot. I miss some
Yeah.
enchiladas. I miss some good food, you know.
Oh no, I would totally be with you on that. Well, once you do, you let me know and I'll let everyone else know. In the meantime, please follow Savannah Rae. We miss her here in Aggieland, but she's still out doing great things and spreading it around. So please go give her a follow, listen for the new music, get the new single Dust Settles. And thank you, Savannah, for the catch up today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on as always. Like, I mean, you said you supported me as an Aggieland artist from day one pretty much, so thank you so much. As an independent artist, that literally means the world to me, so I really appreciate that.